You cannot let Anna go on that lake. You just cannot let her go out alone.
Now we're gonna search the whole lake.
The movie begins with a middle-aged man named Paris, who is seen fighting for his life following a car accident. Desperately, Paris tries to save his mother, who appears to be experiencing a seizure that caused her to lose control and drive off a bridge. Tragically, Paris is unable to rescue her, and she dies. The scene then shifts to the year 2003. Paris now works dredging a lake, still mourning his mother's death from years before. He remains doubtful that her seizure was the true cause of the accident that sent their car off the bridge. After his shift, Paris meets up with his father, Ben, and together they head to the funeral of old Billy, a longtime local. On the drive, Ben mentions how a dam has disrupted the lake's natural flow. At the funeral, Paris spots his ex-girlfriend, C, who has returned to town to pay her respects to her late grandfather. The scene then shifts to year 2022, where we meet Ellie and her 8-year-old stepsister, Anna, who are shopping at a supermarket. Ellie lives near Caddo Lake, a mysterious body of water on the Louisiana-Texas border, with her mother, stepfather, and Anna. On their way back, Anna asks Ellie to come home, mentioning that it's been months since Ellie left after a major argument with their mother. It becomes clear that Ellie often clashes with her mother, leading her to stay with a friend. Despite a turbulent family relationship, she remains close to Anna and deeply cares for her. When they arrive at the lake, Ellie suddenly hears Anna screaming. She quickly anchors her boat and rushes over to help, only to discover a dead crocodile, neatly cut in half. One of the local kids explains that it was found in the lake. Shocked and confused by the strange discovery, Ellie drags the crocodile's carcass and disposes of it back into the lake. Meanwhile, in 2003, Paris is determined to understand what led his mother to have a seizure that caused her to drive off a bridge. Convinced her condition was misdiagnosed, he confronts Dr. Mitchell, the physician who treated his mother. Paris presents notes which his father, Ben, kept on each of her seizure episodes, but Dr. Mitchell asserts that she suffered from chronic myoclonic seizures. Paris, however, remained skeptical, arguing that his mother had been seizure-free for 6 years, and that the bleeding from her ears was inconsistent with seizure symptoms. As Paris drives home afterward, he finds his ex-girlfriend, C, waiting for him. Since his mother's tragic accident, Paris has lived on a rigid schedule, distancing himself from both the town and his father. C has come to see him before she heads back to Houston. The scene shifts back to 2022, Ellie helps Anna to get rid of her loose teeth. Also, Ellie's stepfather, Daniel, hosts a family dinner with his relatives at their house. During the meal, Ellie's mother, Celeste, teases her, joking that they don't have many dinner plates left, a playful reference to an argument a month earlier when Ellie smashed several plates. After a while, Ellie's younger stepsister, Anna, places dead moths on the table, explaining she found them near Goat Island by the lake. One of Daniel's relatives points out that these four-eyed moths were once thought to be extinct, expressing surprise at their sudden reappearance. Later, in the kitchen, Celeste thanks Ellie for joining the family dinner, but Ellie coldly replies that Daniel's relatives aren't her family. During their conversation, it's revealed that Ellie's biological father, Celeste's former husband, has been missing for 7 years and is presumed dead. Since then, Daniel has taken on the role of raising both Ellie and Anna. That evening, Ellie searches for her father's death certificate, which she needs for school. While looking, Anna shows Ellie a necklace she found in Celeste's belongings, saying it looks like it's meant for someone with the astrological sign Cancer. At that moment, Celeste enters the room and becomes visibly upset upon seeing Ellie attempting to retrieve her husband's death certificate. This leads to a tense and confrontational exchange between her and Ellie. Frustrated by the house full of people who aren't her actual family, Ellie decides to leave. Despite Anna's tearful pleas for her to stay, Ellie leaves once again. Meanwhile, in 2003, Paris's dog senses something unusual by the lake, running to the water and barking. Back in 2022, as Ellie rows her boat away, it suddenly hits a shallow lake bed, causing her to get stuck. As she tries to push free, she hears a strange, echoing sound that also resonates with Paris back in 2003. To her shock, Ellie then spots wolves by the lake, animals believed to have vanished from the area, much like the supposedly extinct moths Anna found earlier. Later that night, Ellie tells her friend Claire about the eerie events, though Claire seems uncomfortable with Ellie staying at her place. The next morning, Ellie wakes up to find several missed calls from her mother and learns through a voicemail that her stepsister, Anna, has gone missing. Alarmed, Ellie rushes home, docks her boat, and heads inside, where she finds her mother, looking visibly distraught and panicking. Celeste explains that Anna disappeared the previous night after Ellie left, and that her boat is also missing. Daniel, Ellie's stepfather, asks for Ellie's boat keys, saying he needs them to search the lake. However, when Ellie steps outside to check, she discovers that her own boat, which she had docked just moments ago, is also missing. Later that day, while detailing Anna's last whereabouts before missing, Daniel mentions she tried to follow Ellie on her boat like every time but this time didn't return. The scene then shifts to 2003, where Paris is dredging the lake as part of his job. Curious, he decides to explore an old, rusty pipeline that leads to a dry part of the lake. At the end of the pipe, he finds an abandoned pump jack. When he tries to radio his coworker, he discovers the radio isn't working. Suddenly, Paris steps into a strange section of the lakebed, which causes him to lose his hearing, and his hands begin to tremble uncontrollably. Returning to the boat, his coworker informs him that something is caught in the motor. As he clears the debris, Paris finds a necklace, specifically, a Cancer zodiac necklace identical to the one his mother once owned and the same one Anna was seen wearing. This discovery leaves Paris stunned and begins to make him wonder if he is finally uncovering answers to the mysteries he has long been pursuing. Paris then visits his father's house to search through old medical records. While going through the documents, he finds his mother's Cancer zodiac necklace. Just as he makes the discovery, his father, Ben, arrives home from the hospital. Paris quickly pretends that he stopped by for a casual visit and needed to check his mother's old medical files. After making some small talk, he leaves with the necklace. Once inside his truck, Paris compares the necklace he found in the lake to his mother's, and to his astonishment, they are identical. Later, Paris takes C to the mysterious section of the lakebed that had previously left him shaken. However, recent rainfall has submerged the area underwater, erasing any visible foot trails. Paris tries to explain the unsettling experience he had there, describing how his hands trembled and his hearing vanished, suggesting the existence of a strange portal. C, however, remains doubtful and questions his claims, showing skepticism about any mystery surrounding the lake. Meanwhile, in 2022, the family and local community launch a massive search effort for Anna, covering the entire lake. During the search, they locate Anna's boat near the lake's old bridge. Upon inspecting the boat, Ellie notices that Anna's life jacket is missing, leading her to believe that Anna is still wearing it. Ellie informs the search team, emphasizing that the life jacket is light orange and has Anna's name written on it, giving them a vital clue and a glimmer of hope. The following day, during a community briefing on the search plan, Ellie expresses her frustration with the sheriff, urging him to include the dry portion of the lake in the search. She explains that Anna's boat had been stuck there, suggesting it's a likely area to investigate. However, the sheriff explains that he needs government approval to release the dam water to allow more boats access to the area, a process that will take time. Frustrated and feeling helpless, Ellie returns home to find that officials have brought Anna's boat back. Ellie approaches her grieving mother, Celeste, who, overwhelmed with sorrow, blames Ellie for Anna's disappearance, saying Anna only followed her that night. Ellie tries to comfort her, reassuring her that Anna will return, but Celeste expresses doubt. Ellie counters, saying that just because her father went missing doesn't mean Anna will too. In response, Celeste reveals a painful truth: Ellie's father didn't disappear or die, he abandoned the family for another woman. Celeste recalls confronting the woman outside a store years ago, but he chose never to return, leaving Ellie behind as a baby. Reeling from this revelation, Ellie grabs her bag and a flashlight, determined to take matters into her own hands. She sets out on Anna's boat to search the unexplored portion of the lake where the water has receded, an area the search team hasn't yet reached. As she crosses the old bridge near Goat Island, she notices numerous dead moths floating on the water, the same unusual moths Anna had shown during the family dinner. This eerie sight deepens the mystery surrounding Anna's disappearance. The scene shifts back to 2003, where Paris describes his unsettling experience by the lakebed, the momentary loss of hearing, trembling hands, and an inexplicable feeling of his mother's presence. During their conversation, C reminisces about a summer drought when their boat got stuck in the mud, triggering Paris to recall that the year was 1999. Inspired by the memory, Paris visits the office the next day to review historical drought records for the lake. Using his father's detailed notes and other information he had gathered, Paris begins to notice a startling pattern. His mother's seizures always coincided with periods of drought when the lake's water levels were low. He realizes the same phenomenon may have affected him when he encountered the strange portal in the lakebed. However, C dismisses his theory, suggesting that the seizures could have been hereditary. She gently reminds Paris that his mother wouldn't want him to obsess over these mysteries, and urges him to return to a normal life and be present for her. Paris, still fixated on uncovering the truth, walks away, leaving C heartbroken. On his way, Paris encounters Ben, who comes driving from the opposite direction. Ben questions why Paris hasn't been showing up to work lately, explaining that he came by to check on him. As they talk, a strange, echoing sound emanates from the lake, a sound that Paris hears in 2003 and Ellie hears simultaneously in 2022. Startled by the noise, Paris notices his hands trembling again. He quickly backs up his truck to let Ben pass, assuring him that he's fine, though clearly unsettled. In 2022, late at night, Ellie continues her solo search for Anna when her boat suddenly breaks down. As a search patrol team approaches, Ellie evades them by escaping into the dry lakebed. Unknowingly, she passes through a mysterious portal and finds herself in what feels like an entirely different world. The search boat and helicopter that were nearby moments before seem to have vanished completely. Somehow, Ellie manages to find her way back home, only to realize she has traveled 24 hours into the past, to the day Anna first went missing. Shocked, she sees her past self by the lake and watches events she has already lived unfold before her eyes. Confused and alarmed, Ellie grabs a spare set of keys and exits quietly through the back door. As she does, she overhears a conversation between her past self and her mother, Celeste, which only deepens her panic. In an attempt to make sense of what is happening, Ellie takes the boat and heads toward the old bridge. Before she can fully process the bizarre time-traveling experience, she begins to feel a strange sensation. Her hand starts trembling, just like Paris experienced years earlier in the same lake bed. The two stories converge as Paris sets out to the same dry portion of the lake bed. In a striking visual, both Ellie and Paris are shown crossing the old bridge near Goat Island, but in their respective timelines, Ellie in 2022 and Paris in 2003. Hearing Ellie's voice calling out for Anna, Paris instinctively follows the sound. Meanwhile, Ellie is startled when Anna responds, crying out for help. Determined to find her, Ellie navigates through several portals, experiencing disorienting effects, including bleeding ears. Eventually, Ellie locates Anna, stranded in shallow water. However, she realizes she has traveled back a month in time, to a period when Anna had run away after their family argument. This becomes clear when Anna mentions the fight and Ellie breaking the plates, and Ellie notices Anna's front tooth, which was missing in the present, is still intact. Though confused, Ellie leads Anna back home, only to discover she has returned to the exact night of her argument with her mother, confirming that she has traveled a month into the past. It becomes evident that Caddo Lake harbors a time displacement phenomenon triggered when water levels drop. Meanwhile, Paris, still following the voice, crosses multiple portals and eventually finds Anna unconscious, injured by a tree branch. Carefully removing the branch, he carries her in search of help. To his astonishment, he comes across the same pump jack he had investigated in 2003. As he ventures deeper, Paris learns that Caddo Lake was completely drained during the dam's construction, which had exposed the time portal near Goat Island. Paris brings Anna to a group of cattle ranchers and asks them to get her medical attention. During this encounter, he learns he has traveled back to 1952, confirmed by one of the ranchers. Checking the historical records in his possession, Paris validates the timeline and reassures himself that he can return to his own time in 2003. Through his findings, he concludes that the time portals are activated during drought periods when the lake's water recedes, creating a direct link to specific years of extreme drought. Once the lake is reflooded, the portals are sealed, cutting off access to the past. Ellie, still determined to find Anna, returns to the lake in hopes of locating her again. She retraces her previous steps, following her footprints and crossing multiple portals. During her final crossing, she stumbles upon her abandoned boat, left behind during her last escape. Inside, she finds her phone, which rings just as Daniel calls. Ellie begins to explain the strange appearance of the extinct moths, but the call abruptly cuts off. Undeterred, Ellie devises a plan. She ties one end of a rope to a tree and secures the other around her waist, using it as a guide to ensure she can return to her timeline in 2022. As she explores the lake, she passes through several portals, enduring disorienting seizures with each crossing. Finally, she reaches dry land and notices a weathered campaign poster for Sheriff Tanner, realizing she has traveled back to 2005. Meanwhile, Paris stumbles upon the same rope Ellie tied to the tree. Hoping to find his way back to 2003, he crosses through the portal but instead emerges in 2022, Ellie's time. Unaware of the ongoing search efforts, Paris takes Anna's boat to continue his return journey back to his timeline. However, the search team intercepts him, mistaking him for a suspect in Anna's disappearance. While trying to evade capture, Paris crashes the boat and is arrested. Later, Paris regains consciousness in a hospital, handcuffed and injured from the accident. As he looks out the window, he notices the rain starting to fall, and realizes he must act quickly to return to the lake before the rising water closes the portal, potentially trapping him in the wrong timeline. While searching for Anna in 2005, Ellie stumbles upon a grocery store parking lot. There, she notices a necklace hanging from the rearview mirror of a car. It's identical to the one Anna was wearing when she disappeared. Acting on impulse, Ellie breaks into the car to retrieve the necklace, but the vehicle's owner arrives and confronts her. The woman attacks Ellie, trying to take the necklace back. In the scuffle, Ellie demands to know where the necklace came from. The woman explains that it belonged to her missing boyfriend's mother, Anna Lang. As Ellie looks closer, she spots a missing person flyer for Paris, and realizes the woman is a younger version of her mother, Celeste. Shockingly, the baby Celeste is holding turns out to be Ellie herself. By this time, Paris has been missing for 2 years. C, desperate for answers, mistakenly believes that Ellie might be the girl Paris left them for. She pleads with Ellie to find him and convince him to come back home. Overwhelmed and unable to explain the truth, Ellie runs away. She soon finds an internet cafe and begins piecing things together. Searching for Anna Lang, Ellie discovers that by 2005, Anna had already been dead for 6 years, having tragically died in a car accident. Digging deeper, she finds old yearbook photos of Anna from 1952 and prints one out. As she continues through the timeline, Ellie learns that Anna grew up to become a teacher. Finally, she stumbles upon a remembrance website containing photos of Anna with Paris, confirming their familial connection. In a staggering realization, Ellie connects the dots. Anna had traveled back in time to 1952, where she lived out her life and eventually gave birth to Ellie's father, Paris. Her stepsister Anna is, in fact, her biological grandmother, tying the mystery of Caddo Lake's portals directly to her own family's history. In 2022, Paris realizes he must reach the lake before the rain permanently floods the portal. Pretending to need the restroom, he escapes police custody. While fleeing the hospital, he spots a missing persons report on the news. The broadcast features a photo of young Anna, wearing a necklace identical to the one his mother, Anna Lang, used to own, connecting the pieces of the mystery in his mind. It dawns on him that Anna, the girl he saved in 1952, is not only connected to his past but is, in fact, his mother. While evading capture, Paris overhears nurses discussing a patient named Benjamin Lang, and discovers his father in a hospital room. Taking the opportunity for closure, Paris says a heartfelt goodbye to his father, telling him not to worry and revealing that he saved his mother, Anna. Before he can explain further, police officers close in. Paris makes a daring escape by leaping out of a window. Desperate, he steals Celeste and Daniel's car. As he speeds off, Celeste catches a glimpse of him and is stunned. She recognizes Paris, who vanished 20 years earlier, looking exactly as he did then. The police corner Paris near the dam, forcing him to make a fateful decision. He jumps off the dam into Caddo Lake, determined to reach the portal before the rain fully submerges him. Tragically, Paris is too late. The dam begins to break, and the rushing floodwaters pull him under. Struggling to stay afloat, he hits his head on a submerged rock, losing consciousness. As the waters rise, Paris drowns, his quest to uncover the truth about the lake ending in sacrifice. With her newfound understanding, Ellie returns to the lake and uses the rope she tied earlier as a guide to make her way back to 2022. As she emerges, the rising water closes the portal, severing the rope in a manner reminiscent of the crocodile she had encountered earlier. Fortunately, Daniel and his search team locate her. He informs her that Anna has now been missing for 3 days. Realizing the truth about their shared connection, Ellie tells Daniel, who she has clashed with for so long, that he is actually her great-grandfather. She assures him that Anna is safe and that they are bound as family through her. Ellie then heads home to find her mother, Celeste, frozen in shock as she watches a news report about Paris's dramatic escape and tragic death. The broadcast shows Paris's photo, with authorities requesting help identifying him. Ellie gently reveals the truth to her mother by showing her Anna's school photo from 1952. She embraces Celeste, explaining that neither Anna nor Paris ever intended to leave them. Circumstances beyond their control led to their separation.